welcome to Media Spectrum, where stories still matter. Today we will be reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, this was a real pleasant surprise for me because I remember when this first came out thinking that it was okay. It was, a decent follow-up, but I also remember not liking it anywhere near as much as the first movie. But now coming back to it after several years on this rewatch, I gotta say it held up almost as good as Volume 1 to me. There's a couple little flaws I have to nitpick with it, but overall I really enjoyed this movie. I'm not sure if it's just that over the years my standards have lowered for Marvel comic book movies. I don't know if I was just too cynical on it back in the day. But hey, I always would rather enjoy a movie, so I'm glad that I really, really liked this one this time. Now, last week when I reviewed the first movie, I was in a COVID-induced delirium. I barely even got through the video. And one of the details I unfortunately forgot to mention about the first movie was its soundtrack. The soundtrack is so essential for just the vibe and atmosphere of both of these movies. It's almost another character in and of itself. And so if you really like good 70s music, you'll really enjoy the music in this. It does such a good job of setting the tone for these films. And I really like the kind of in-universe setup of him having this mixtape from his mom, and then at the end of the movie getting a volume 2 of the mixtape. And so in here, it really does feel like just a continuation of the same soundtrack. The songs very organically blend with what we got in the first movie, and it does a really good job of keeping a consistent tone heading into this one. So overall, this is the same cast as the first movie, and so all of my comments from last time still apply over here. Chris Pratt is still perfect as Star-Lord. Dave Bautista is still my favorite of them all as Drax the Destroyer. I still really like Bradley Cooper and his voice work in this. Zoe Saldana is still really good. It's kind of the grounding voice of reason of the group. And Vin Diesel, he does what he can with his character. I totally forgot that Sylvester Stallone actually had a role in this movie. It's pretty small, but, he's there. He's good in the roles he has. Of course, the big addition this time around is Kurt Russell as Ego, aka Star-Lord's dad. I think they did a really good job de-aging him in the quick intro scene. And then Kurt Russell fits into this whole group dynamic really, really well. He's very believable as the dad of Star-Lord, having a similar but different personality.
I told you how all those years ago I had an unceasing impulse to find life. But what I did not tell you was how, when I finally did find it, it was all so disappointing.
And as the movie goes on and we eventually figure out that he's kind of a bad guy, he does a good job of taking it to that level. The monologue, especially where he explains giving the tumor to Star-Lord's mom, it's so out of nowhere, and yet there's such a natural build to it in hindsight. I think Kurt Russell was great in this. Oh, also talking about the cast, I have to talk about Pom Klementieff as Mantis. She has amazing chemistry with Dave Bautista. I love the way the Mantis and Drax play off each other. That's one of my favorite additions to this movie.
So you're a pet?
I suppose.
People usually want cute pets. Why would Ego want such a hideous one?
I am hideous?
You are horrifying to look at, yes. But that's a good thing.
Oh?
When you're ugly and someone loves you, you know they love you for who you are. Beautiful people never know who to trust.
Well, then I'm certainly grateful to be ugly.
And last time I failed to give praise to Michael Rooker as Yondu, who was very good in the first movie as kind of this secondary antagonist. And in this movie, he becomes a much more important character.
I know everything about you. I know you play like you're the meanest and the hardest, but actually you're the most scared of all.
Shut up!
I know you steal batteries you don't need, and you push away anyone who's willing to put up with you, because just a little bit of love reminds you how big and empty that hole inside you actually is.
I said shut up!
I know them scientists what made you never gave a rat's ass about you.
I'm serious, dude!
Just like my own damn parents who sold me, their own little baby, into slavery. I know who you are, boy, because you're me.
And one of the things I appreciate about this movie so much is how it is such a natural thematic sequel to the first movie. The first movie is a classic tale of this chosen family kind of coming together. And so in this movie, we have the chosen family versus the biological family. We have Star-Lord's actual dad come back, only to ultimately be proven the villain. I really love Yondu's line near the end about how
He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy. I'm sorry I didn't do none of it right. I'm damn lucky you, my boy.
that's such a true line in this movie, and it's such a good theme to pick up on from where the first one was. If you're going to have one movie talking about the value of a chosen family, showing that in contrast to a biological family, showing how your chosen family can be even more real than your actual quote-unquote family, that's a very natural message to pick up from the first one. And frankly, in this day and age where so many of us come from broken homes, so many of us are children of divorce, are children of all kinds of messy family configurations, where so many of us have to make difficult decisions to cut off biological family members for different points and find solace with your friends, find a new family with your coworkers, with your theater troupe, with your church, with whatever it is. It's a message that I think a lot of people, at least in Western society, can really relate to in this day and age. So yeah, overall, this was a really great follow-up. As far as what I don't like about it, first off, naming Kurt Russell's dad Ego, come on, of course he's going to be a villain. Of course he's going to be a villain. You name a character Ego, that's... What next, are you going to name a character Lucifer and then have us be surprised he's a bad guy? Come on, you know. And in all fairness, even if they gave him a more normal name, it would still probably be pretty easy to guess that he was going to be the bad guy overall. There's definitely signs there, but just that complete and total lack of subtlety does bother me a little bit. I'll also say I completely understand why this movie breaks up our team in the middle and has them go on separate ways. I don't really know how I could have resolved that plot-wise, but it does bother me because one of the biggest strengths of this movie is the chemistry of the whole cast, the way they all play off each other, and that gets majorly disrupted for at least a third of this film, if not more like half of this film. And it is really nice when the group comes back together at the end. It feels better. And now the group is even expanded with Mantis being added to the mix. So a couple little flaws with it there, but overall, I really enjoy this movie. I think it's a very good, fun follow-up to the first one. Like the first movie, it's not doing anything revolutionary. It's just kind of a fun, mindless adventure, which is why I don't have a whole lot to say about it. But again, sometimes a movie just needs to know what it is and do it well. These first two movies are being pretty masterful in just doing a fun adventure with enough family themes to elevate it a little bit and just being a fun ride to go on. Now, I'm really curious heading into the third movie because that's the only one of this trilogy that I have not seen yet. Like I said before, I just got really burned out on comic books during my mid-20s, and so I never got around to this one. Over the years, I've heard that it's kind of surprisingly dark, that it's in less of a comedy. I've also heard it really heavily focuses on Rocket Raccoon. And he's been such a good supporting character in these first two movies. I'm really curious to see what happens in the next one. So I'll see you guys then, and then after that, I'll have my thoughts on the whole series to give you. So thanks for checking in. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, stay sane, stay human.